Feet are amazing. 33 joints, 26 bones, and a ton of muscles, tendons, and ligaments. But they do take a beating carrying our body weight around all day. And when your feet get painful, it can be pretty lousy, which is why we want to help you build more resilient feet. Hey, it's Alicia and Brody, physiotherapists passionate about helping adults 55 plus stay fit, healthy, and have less foot pain.
Maybe you've taken up walking or running recently, or a new exercise program, and that's resulted in some foot pain. Or maybe your routine hasn't really changed, but you've developed some foot pain anyway.
Whether it's Achilles pain or plantar fasciopathy,
bunions, Morton's neuroma, or arthritis.
These are all conditions that can make you feel fragile and fed up.
So we want to give you 3 exercises that you can do at home with no fancy equipment. These are going to help strengthen your feet and make it so that you're more robust and therefore have less pain in the future. Our first exercise is a T-towel pickup. So all you need is a T-towel. For this one, we're going to be working on the intrinsic muscles of the foot. That means these smaller muscles inside the foot which control the toes as well as some of the other foot functions. To start this exercise, you're just going to lay the T-towel down on the floor, and it helps to be sitting if you're a beginner with this one. Using your toes, the idea is to scrunch up the T-towel, gradually working it towards you until you can scrunch it up into a little ball. So using all those toe muscles and the muscles inside the foot. Then you can reset the T-towel and go again. For this one, you might do 3 rounds of 30 to 60 seconds. If that's quite easy, we can up the challenge by progressing into standing. Now that we're standing up, it's going to make our foot have to work a little bit harder, but also our other foot is going to get some training on balance as well and working some of those muscles inside the foot. So it's a great option for foot pain for both sides. While standing and balancing, I'm going to start to scrunch the towel up. And once I've got enough of it, I'm going to try and grab it with my toes, lift it up, and put it back down. And you can see I'm having to balance on my left leg to do that. If you need to hold onto a chair or a piece of furniture for this one to start out with, that's okay. Once again, using my toes, scrunch up the T-towel, lift it up, and place it back down. You can have the target of trying to reach all the way up to your hand and take it out like that, and then put it back down, nice and flat, and repeat. Scrunching up, grabbing, and lifting. So that exercise is a nice simple one you can do. As I said, 3 rounds of 30 to 60 seconds, and that will help strengthen the muscles in and around your feet.
Okay, our second exercise is the tib ant raise. So to set up for this, you need a wall. So I'm going to lean my bottom against the wall, keeping my shoulders off the wall, walking my feet out a little bit, legs nice and straight. Now I'm digging my heels in and I'm raising my toes up towards my knees. So I'm trying to get the front of my foot off the ground as far as I can. Now, the reason this is called a tib ant raise is we're working the tibialis anterior, which is the muscle that runs down the front of our shins here. And it's responsible for lifting our toes up, which is really important when we're walking, going up steps, trying to clear objects. And it helps us to avoid tripping, which is really important. So I'd recommend doing this 3 rounds of 30 to 60 seconds. And if you feel like you're tolerating this really well and you'd like to make it more difficult, you can walk your feet out a little bit further. Again, keeping the legs nice and straight and trying to dig those heels in and bring those toes up as far as you can. So that is the tib ant raise. And before we get into exercise number 3, don't forget to subscribe.
Our third exercise is the heel raise. You've probably seen some version of this before. Sometimes we refer to it as a calf raise. It is obviously working these calf muscles at the back of your leg, the Achilles tendon, which attaches to the heel, and many of the muscles under the foot as well. So it's a really good option for things like Achilles tendinopathy and plantar fasciopathy as well. For today's version, we're going to level it up a little bit by doing it off of a step. For the starting version, you're going to set up with the balls of your feet on the step, holding on for balance if needed, raising up, and then the idea is to let your heels drop below the level of the step. So as you're doing a heel raise off of a step like this, the muscles are stretching a bit further, the tendons are stretching a bit further, and that increases the difficulty and the overall load on your calf, your Achilles, and your foot muscles. So this is definitely a harder progression than doing it on flat ground. If you're finding that's pretty good and you're managing it really well, you can progress to a single leg version of the same thing. Very similar setup, ball of 1 foot on the step, the other leg out of the way, definitely holding on for balance with this one as needed, and then going into a heel raise like this, rising up and down, letting that heel drop below the level of the step with every rep. So that's the heel raise leveled up version of a step. You can do the double leg or the single leg version, whichever is appropriate for you, and do 3 sets of 30 to 60 seconds worth for each leg to strengthen that Achilles and those foot muscles.
Give those 3 exercises a go to build stronger, more resilient feet. And if you're a walker, check out the tips in the video on screen. Oh, and don't forget to wash your feet.